was a little frustrated with the classroom instructors, kind of feeling like they didn't have proper classroom management and didn't really address conflict in a positive way. And so, we talked in that case study. I think in this table over here, we talked about what type of support do our faculty need to properly and best support address students who might be in this situation. And so something that came up, I had shared that this faculty didn't feel comfortable with dealing with conflict, right? So I don't know if those of you, if any faculty in the room, or and just in general, when you had to deal with conflict. I know for myself, I'm an avoider, so I like everyone to be happy. So I know that I personally don't do well with conflict, and so I think for me as a faculty, that's something that I know that I've needed additional professional development. And so when we think about faculty, I was sharing with this group over here that I wasn't trained on how to be a faculty, I was trained on content to teach. And so I think we find that that's when we talk to our faculty, that tends to be an issue that's reoccurring for them. It's like, well, you're telling me I need to do all these strategies and techniques in the classroom, but I don't know what that is. Like, I'm just here to teach my content. I don't know how to engage with these students. I don't know what that means. And so, we talked about what are some resources or things that we can do to bring in and invite, not just have professional development for the faculty on their own, but how can we invite our veteran students to also engage in these discussions with our staff and faculty, and also, using them. So they suggested doing a brown bag series. So brown bag series between faculty and veterans, but also maybe even veterans and the broader campus community, and knowing how important it is to inform the community of the different experiences. So another case study that you all had was Edgar, right? So Edgar is a student athlete, first generation college student, was raised by a single parent, kind of experienced some of those life stressors, external, right? So having to care for his grandfather, having to pick up his little sister from work, but he was also playing baseball, wanted to transfer. He meets with the counselor, and the counselor kind of asks, wasn't very supportive, not very validating, kind of put the student down because he had missed his counseling appointments, even though the student said, I've got all these other things going on in my life, and the counselor just kind of dismissed it. And so here I think the other storyline behind it was that the student had always been really strong in English in high school and even in college. He always had his best grades were in English, but when he came in, he just thought he wanted to do criminal justice because it sounded cool, and it was easy, and he thought that was the easiest thing to transfer, and he could still play baseball. And I think there was a missed opportunity maybe by the counselor to maybe have a conversation about, okay, it's not just you're a student athlete, here's your classes, you're good, don't worry about it, I got you. But also engaging students to think of, engaging them and looking at their transcripts and challenging them, supporting them and saying, I see that you're really good at English. Have you thought about, maybe majoring in English or communications instead of criminal justice, right? Or, the student had a passion for baseball, and, he thought he was going to go pro. But, that's very rare. And so I think there could have been another opportunity to maybe think about how can we couple his passion for baseball with his strengths in English and communication, so maybe journalism in relation to sports, right? So thinking about being a sports analyst or sports journalist. So I think there was some missed opportunities there with counseling, and not, just kind of assuming that because he was a student athlete, because he was a male of color, that he didn't want to be there, that he didn't care, he was just trying to take the easy way out, take the easy major, and not really wanted to do the work. And then the last case study was on Alex. So Alex was also first generation college student. His parents live in El Salvador, and he's living here with his aunt and uncle. He works part-time, but most of the money he makes, he sends it back to his family. And English is his second language. Although he can read and write, he is still in need of remedial ESL courses. So he goes to his counselor to set up a student education plan, and she informs him that, okay, well, I made your plan, this is what it's going to look like. And he sees like, oh my gosh, this is like a 3-year plan. It's going to take me that long to get out of here. And so she explains like, well, it's because you're enrolled in this 4-level behind ESL course, and you're going to need these other levels, and then you're going to need basic skills math English courses before you can even get to your transferable English course. And so I think that experience You know, knowing Alex, he's very motivated, so he's like, okay, what am I going to do to try to maximize my time here? So he thinks, okay, I'm going to take a class here, and I'm going to take a class at that other campus. And he's working, right? So he figures out his schedule where he takes classes in the morning at one college, and he goes to work, and then at night he goes to a different college to take his other classes. In the meantime, he doesn't have a car, so he relies on public transportation. And where he lives, it's a large metropolitan area where it takes students about like an hour and a half to 2 hours just to commute to campus. And so he's constantly drained because he's commuting back and forth to these different campuses. He's working late hours, having to, you know, couple his studying as well. And so also there's an issue with financial aid as well. So, you know, student came to campus, didn't meet with the counselor at first, just kind of was told, all right, you need to take 12 units in order for you to qualify for financial aid. So, but what he didn't know is that he was taking 9 units at one campus and 3 units at another campus. In his mind, he was taking 12 units. But at the institution, they said, well, no, you have to take 12 units at each of your campuses if you're going to qualify for financial aid. And so at that point, he realized, okay, I'm either going to take more classes at each of these campuses so I can be full-time at both campuses, or I'm just going to drop out because I can't do this. Like, I'm over it. I'm never going to get to transferring anyway. I'm so behind on all these classes I got to take. You know, I'm just going to work and, you know, do what I need to do to support my family, and then maybe move back to El Salvador. So in here, I think we just talked about, you know, what are some institutional level support services and programs that could have maybe eliminated some of these challenges for him, or are there people on campus personnel that could have better, you know, supported him? So I know, you know, you've got the case studies, and I'm sure you can talk amongst each other later throughout the day, but I think these stories, as extreme as they sound, they are very real, and I think, you know, I'm sure many of you have met students that meet these or fit these profiles, and I think it's important to just remember that when our students are coming into our institutions, they're also coming in with these external factors that play heavily or weigh heavily on whether they are focusing in class or whether they can actually go and make that appointment with you at the counseling office. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you continue to chat and engage. I do want to